Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, classmates. We are the Group 7 and we are here to tackle about the cry of Balintawak. So to start things off, on August 26, a large gathering was held in Balintawak at the home of Apollonia Samson and then the Capeza of that Caloocan barrio. Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Aguedo de Rosario, Tomas Remigio, Risillo Pantas, Teodora Plata, Pio Valenzuela, Enrico Pacheco, and Francisco Carrion were among those who attended. They were all Katipunan leaders who served on the organization's board of directors. Bulacan, Cabanatuan, Cavite, and Morong delegates were also present. The meeting began around 9 a.m. with Andres Bonifacio presiding and Emilio Jacinto serving as secretary. The purpose of the meeting was to plan the timing of the pricing. Teodoro Plata, Bricio Pantas, Pio Valenzuela were all opposed to starting the revelation too soon. Andres Bonifacio left the session hall and spoke to the people who were waiting outside for the outcome of the leaders' meeting. In the fiery speech, he told the people that the leaders were arguing against starting the revelation too soon. Bonifacio then asked the people to pledge their willingness to revolt. He informed them that the cedula tax levied on each citizen was a sign of Filipino slavery. If you are ready to revolt, I want you to see to destroy your cedulas as a sign that we had declared our independence from the Spaniards. And so, the Balintawak occurred on August 26, 1896. The cry is defined as the moment when peoples finally refused Spanish colonial dominion over the Philippine Islands. With tears in their eyes, the people pulled out their cedulas and tore them apart as one. It was the start of the formal declaration of the independence from the Spanish rule. Long live the Philippine Republic, chanted the people.
So, good day everyone. My name is Richanbel Alitor and I am your second reporter, and let me continue the discussion. So, the primary source of this historical event are the accounts of Dr. Pio Valenzuela and Guillermo Magsakay, and they are the eyewitness on the happening during that time. And their accounts become a background of knowledge on what really happened on that day. So, the people that I mentioned above will be further discussed later on. So, it can be found in repositories, yes, but those things that they use are what we see in repositories, since Cry of Balintawak is a historical event, such like the weapons, the amulets, the cedulas, the anting-anting, and various documents at that time. And this can be found in Museo and Katipunan in San Juan. However, some of the documents are just a replication, since most of the original copies are preserved in National Museum and some primary sources are still in the possession of Spanish authorities. So what is the true meaning of cry? So the word cry comes from the word El Grito de Rebellion, or El Grito for short, but it strictly refers to a decision or call to revolt. And it doesn't necessarily mean shouting, unlike the Filipino term sigaw. And cry could also refer to the tearing up of cedulas, wherein Filipinos store their cedulas as a sign that all of the Filipino have declared our severance from the Spaniard, since cedulas, according to Bonifacio, is a sign of slavery of the Filipino to the Spaniard. So this event is an important marker as the beginning of the Philippine Revolution 1896, which ultimately led to Philippine independence in 1898. So, in the external part of the event, there are different versions of the dates of the first cry of revolution as well as the venue. However, in this present time, the National Hero Commission recognized the cry of Pugadlawin, where the site is Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. But here is some version of the cry. So, these are the secondary sources, which is also close to Bonifacio. So according to Guardia Civil, Lieutenant Logario Diaz, he stated that the cry took place in Balintawak on August 25, 1896. And Gregorio de Jesus, the Lakambini of the Katipunan, which is also the wife of Andres Bonifacio, stated that it is near the Caloocan on August 25, 1896. While in Santiago Alvarez, as well-known Katipunero, from Cavite, son of Mariano Alvarez and also relative of Gregorio de Jesus, stated that it happened in Bahay, Toro on August 24, 1896. And according to the famous historians, who are also the author of the book of this historical event, that was published, according to Teodoro Calao, founder of Philippine Libraries, that this happened in Kangkong, Balintawak on last week of August. While Gregorio Zaid, also known as the Dean of Historiographer, that this happened in Balintawak on August 26, 1896, which is also supported by other researchers which are Milagros, Emmanuel, and Villegas. But Teodoro Agoncillo, which rely on the statement of Pio Valenzuela that this happened in Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. So even there is so much version of the first cry, the version of primary sources have given so much value. So this version is from Pio Valenzuela and Guillermo Magsakay, which is the eyewitness of the event. So according to Pio Valenzuela, in his controversial Cry of Pugadlawin, that this happened on August 23, 1896 in Pugadlawin. However, he has two versions of first cry. So the first version stated that the first cry happened in Balintawak on August 26, 1896 with his vivid memory. On the second version, with his fading memory, he claims that the cry took place to Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. Meanwhile, in Guillermo Magsakay, in his version of the first cry, which is the cry of Balintawak, stated that it happened on August 26, 1896 in Balintawak. And he is the Katipunan General and advisor of Bonifacio at that time. And he is also a childhood friend of Bonifacio. And this version of him was accepted by the preliminary year of American government. So if I will chosen what version of first cry, I would prefer the version of Cry of Balintawak by Guillermo Magsakay. Since using the primary and the secondary source, we identify the places of Kangkong, Pugadlawin, Bahay Toro, which were all in Balintawak. Since at the turn of the century, Balintawak refer both a specific place in modern Caloocan and a wider area which included part of modern Quezon City. So the Pugadlawin, the Pasong Tamo, the Kangkong, and other specific places were all in Greater Balintawak, which was turned part of Greater Caloocan. And the place of Pugadlawin is only existed in 1935 after the rebellion happened in 1896. Since the term Pugadlawin was only made up because of the hawk nest at the top of a tall tree at the backyard of Tandang Sora in Banlat Gulod in Caloocan, where it's said to be one of the hiding places of the Katipuneros at that time. And the inconsistency of the account of Pio Valenzuela of the cry of Pugadlawin is seen as a red flag when dealing to the primary sources. That's why I prefer the version of Cry of Balintawak than the Cry of Pugadlawin.
Hello everyone, my name is Faiza S. Arroyo and I will be reporting what makes the Cry of Balintawak important in our history as a Filipinos and the impact of these events in our lives. The Cry of Balintawak is a movement which sought the independence of the Philippines from Spanish colonial rule and started the Philippine Revolution, or it is also known as the launching point of the Philippine Revolution. So, why is it the Cry of Balintawak important in our history as a Filipinos? Because it vitalized the unity of the Filipino people. These events brought tears for independence and marked as the start of the Philippine Revolution in 1896, which eventually led to the independence of the country in 1898. It is also known as the beginning of the Philippine Revolution. The Cry of Balintawak became a turning point when the Filipinos finally refused Spanish colonial dominion over the Philippine Islands. With tears in their eyes, the people as one man pulled out their sadulas and tore them into pieces. The Cry of Balintawak incident is officially recognized as the beginning of the Philippine Revolution against Spain through the use of force and weapons. These events demonstrate how the Katipuneros shows their love to our nation, especially for the Filipinos. So the impact of these events in our lives is that The cry of Balintawak is very significant because it shifts our history away from being colonized by the Spanish and toward the idea that we are one as Filipinos and not the slaves of those people. The bravery and unity of the Katipuneros who fought for our country's independence brought courage and strength to us Filipinos to fight for our country. Their decision to do the rebellion, to change the history of our country, and the sacrifices and bravery of the Katipuneros are essential factors on how we are able to enjoy our freedom today. And that is all. Thank you.
What are the learnings you can get from this event? As a result of analyzing Cry of Balintawak, the knowledge that is applicable to all of us has been obtained. What I learned may be used both as a student and a citizen. The first thing I learned is demonstrate how powerful a person can be when they fight together and cooperatively. In a situation like the Cry of Balintawak, I'd like to think of it as nothing other than freedom of speech, because a lot of individuals came together to fight in unison over some concerns that they considered to be too constricting or beneath them to control. Thus, they, along with others, tore their cedula, voiced their unhappiness. To be a citizen, you must be able to perform your duties when it comes to national achievement and advancement. This is the most crucial aspect. The synergy between individuals is powerful, yet it is unusual to succeed on your own. Despite the efforts of its citizens, the nation excels. In addition to raising spirits is a great way to recognize accomplishments. Helen Keller once said, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much," and that is true. Second, it is necessary to express one's nationalism. When one studies the method in which the Katipuneros fought back against the Spaniards, it becomes fairly obvious that the concept of the devotion and dedication of a person to their nation-state takes priority over everything else that is at risk in this fight. As a citizen, we have the power to make our nation stronger and better for everyone by nurturing a stronger feeling of national pride among ourselves. It is in everyone's best interest to encourage nationalist sentiment since it benefits nations all across the globe as a whole. And it is because of this that we are free today. When a nationalistic character values everyone in a position of power, they will do their best to use their authority not for their own personal gains, but for the betterment of the nation as a whole. Third, to thrive, you need to plan well enough and execute at the right moment. Consistency, unity, adaptability, and accuracy are all attributes of good planning that must be present for it to succeed. It is like they are preparing for a possible invasion by the Spanish. In light of their weaker weapons, the rebels decided to escape. As a result, there are several battles to be fought. However, the Spanish were disappointed in their attempts to get in touch with the Filipinos, but a plan existed that may be regarded as the turning point when Filipinos eventually opposed Spanish colonial control over the Philippines island. As a student, we need a strategy that is efficient since it is necessary to keep good control. In order to get the best result, it is critical to have a strategy in place before beginning any work. You don't have to rush. This is how the Cry of Balintawak is made. They are not in rush. There are periods and days they are allotted to accomplish it. Fourth, fight for the rights that are uniquely yours. Like the Filipinos who, after being invaded by settlers, realize their rights to their native land and start to rise in rebellion. When we are aware of our rights as a students, citizens, and human beings, we are best preferred to stand up for those rights when they are disrespected. Many people love taking advantage of others when they know that others are unaware of their own rights. It is crucial to know your rights so that you will be able to know how you can protect yourself. Lastly, be brave. No matter how discouraged and hopeless they may feel about their life under the conquerors, the Filipino people have the moral bravery to fight a battle head-on. As a student like me, when taking up my course, I doubted myself if I could make it, but now I am brave enough to continue even I encounter a struggle because courage permits you to do the right thing despite all obstacles. I am going to fight for myself. And bravery, it helps you behave intelligently. If the people of the Cry of Balintawak were not valiant in what they did to fight for the Philippines, maybe we would still be under the colonizer. And that's all the things I learned from this event. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Ray Matthew Bilad. So our report is all about the Cry of Balintawak. So this is the part of my report. So the person that I chose is Pio Valenzuela E. Alejandro. Pio Valenzuela E. Alejandro is a Filipino physician and revolutionary leader. Date of July 11 of 1869 to April 6 of 1956. Pio Valenzuela Alejandro was a Filipino physician and revolutionary leader at the age of 23. He joined the Society of Katipunan, a colonial a movement which started or which sought the independence of the Philippines from Spanish colonial rule and started the Philippines Revolution. So just to give you an additional information about Pio Valenzuela y Alejandro, this person is best known for being the go-between of the two heroes in an ill-fated plan that could have been the greatest stand-down in the Philippine history. So these events revitalized the unity of the Filipino people and brought thirst for independence. So which means pagkabuhay muli or nabuhay muli. So the cry of rebellion in Pugadlawin marked the start of the Philippine Revolution in 1896, which eventually led to independence of the country in 1898, together with Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Jacinto. So they formed the secret chamber of the society called Camara Reina, or also called the Camara Negra, or a black chamber, and Camara Reina, which means a supreme chamber. Now, this sinister sounding body of the doled out punishment to members who betrayed or broke the bylaws of the Katipunan. Now, 123 years ago, the Filipinos calls out for revolutions against the Spanish colonial authorities. So their major reason was to end colonialism. So and to end colonialism and to have a democracy for them to start a new life as independent people. So by the way, colonialism is a dominasyon ng isang tao or lugar ng isang dayuhang estado o bansa. Now, this point at the time in the Philippine history is called the Cry of Rebellion, where Andres Bonifacio and a number of Katipuneros tore their cedulas or ang pagpunit ng cedulas signifying their protest against the Spanish colonialism. Now, it was followed by the series of fierce fighting of the Filipinos balos and spears versus Spanish muskets. So, as you can see in my screen, so this is the picture of a Spanish muskets and a Filipino bolo. So, the cry of rebellion in the Philippines happened in August 1896. Northeast of Manila. given the month and the year, there were a lot of debate circulating regarding the day of when did it really happen. So kanus adjud siya nahitabo. So these events awakened a proud sense of nationalism among the Filipino youth today. So this aim to resist the colonialism, and this aim brought together people from different backgrounds. So as you can see on my screen, so the cry of rebellion in the Philippines happened in August 1896 in northeast of Manila. So this event awakened a proud sense of nationalism among the Filipino youth today. So this event, so as I mentioned earlier, it was aimed to resist the colonialism, and this aim brought together people from different backgrounds. And also to relate this with the UNESCO vision to work to ensure that every child and citizen has access to quality education. In what way? By promoting cultural heritage and the equal dignity of all cultures, and strengthens the bonds between the nations. And that's it. And thank you for listening to my report, to our report. And I hope you learned a lot to this person, Pio Valenzuela y Alejandra. And once again, and good afternoon, everyone.